Hi there, and welcome to this re-edit session with me, Rob Webster, here at Udemy. Now, in this tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of tracks. The first is going to be an up-tempo one of around 120, and the next one we're going to do is around 100, 105. So I wanted to give you both spectrums, basically, one upbeat and the other one slower. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of tracks, and I'm going to take away the main elements of the track so that we can recreate it doing a re-edit. Now, re-edits over the last few years have become pretty big business in the industry. Not so much big business, but they've become a big part of the setup. Now, a lot of people are doing them, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. People using a lot of 70s stuff and a lot of 80s stuff now. People like Fingerman, 80s Child, Dr. Packer, and myself under my Rob Jam web name. We've all achieved pretty good success with these and good recognition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the upbeat track first, which is by Carl Bean, which is called I Was Born This Way. It's an old disco anthem, and I've got the instrumental here, which is got some great little hooks in it. It's something I've never actually used fully, and you've got it in your pack, so make sure that you download this in your pack from this session, and then we can go from there. So once you've installed it over, it's going to start with like a snare and a crash, like that. So we don't want that to be on the line, because we want to get the whole track in time. So, first things first, we need to zoom in, and you can see where the first kick drum comes in here, look. But we want to get that on the line, so we widen our scope, drag it to the line. We don't want it on that one, we want it on the number 3, so we need to widen the scope again and drag it onto line. And then we get rid of the start bit because we're not going to need that, so close that in. And double click on it and change it from Beats to Complex Pro. Because it's a live recording and there's no drum machines or anything used as such, it's going to be a little bit wobbly in places, so we need to correct those errors once we've started the track. So we've got this timed up, so just put your metronome on. Seems okay to me. But what we're going to do is we're going to leave the intro for now, and this is the way that I work tracks when I'm doing a re-edit. What I do is I will zoom in with my looper and just have that amount. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 8 bars, and then I go across the whole track like so, make sure that loop's on, and find relevant loops that I think are going to be catchy hooks and things like that. So let's just go through it. Something like that, you see. So that would be one, for example. But first of all, because that's the main body of the track, we want to get the instrumentally bits, the more bassline bits and things like that. So we're going to go further along the track. And obviously this is taken from vinyl, so what we have here are a lot of crackles. But don't worry about that. It's just an exercise to give you the ideas of how to create a re-edit. So first of all, I'm going to take up here, way up here, there. Something like that, or see, that's a lovely loop. So I found a loop that I'm quite happy with. So I'm going to highlight that little section there with my left mouse button, and then I'm going to grab it with my little left mouse button and drag it across and put it back in place. That way it breaks up the track, and I'm going to change the colour, and there's my first loop. Double click on it, you'll see it down here. It's not quite in, look. If you notice that the warp markers and the transients are out. So I'm going to drag that transient in like that, and then it goes off on there, look. So what I do is double click on that transient and pull that back in, and then move that out, zoom across, and make sure that all these transients turn to yellow. Okay, and that they will be on time then, and push that one away. we go. There. There we go. There's our loop. So then what we do is, we've got that one, we'll move across the track and see if there's any more loops. See, that's perfect, that bit there, look. So we could take the whole of that, the section there, those 8 bars. So that's a nice little bit. So again, drag your left mouse button, put it back in, change the colour to blue, whatever. Okay, so we've got 2 little loops there. Let's go across the rest. See, I like that. Again, change the colour so you know where you've got. Now what you've got to remember is this is purely subjective. So you could choose absolutely any loops at all, but what I'm doing is giving you the basics on how to do it. That's that. So I'm not keen on the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that section there at the end, get rid of that, and work my way back to the beginning. And I'm going to keep this original loop, which is here. Keep the first one, so that one there. So we could use that at the at the beginning of the track. Depends on what we want to use. So get rid of the rest of it, and the rest of it's just like build up. Try that one. Now, what we've got here, this is another little thing that you can pick up on, is this first section is part of that first section, but it's the second half, whereas this one is the first half of the next section. Whereas we don't want this bit because it's got the strings coming in and the snare rolls. So what we need to do is we want this section, so we'll separate that, but we're going to split this section and put it in front of that, and then loop those 2. There's a little crackle in there, so we do have a slight issue. So if you get crackles, again, it's just a case of moving over and timing up everything with the yellow transients and your warp markers. There we go. Obviously it's crackly because it's vinyl, as I've already mentioned, but still. So we get our main loops there. Time them up like so, just gently drag them, and then anything else in the track, that little loop there is good. Grab that, put that there and change the colour, make it like that, make those 2 orange, get rid of that section. Could have that in, but we've covered that area, so we need to, most of that is repeating what we've already heard. So we'll get rid of that. You could use those main bits with the brass and stuff, but what I'm doing here is I'm just going to show you just taking the small parts of the track and arrange those so that we can get a full edit. And there's loads of great loops in this track, but I tend to think that the less is more. So now we've got those 4 loops there, drag those down to the beginning, put them with the rest, and we'll see what we've got. Okay, right, so we've got the intro over there, which we're not too fussed about that at the moment. go, so we've got some pretty cool loops in there. Okay, right, next thing we're going to do is we want to add a new kick drum. Now, this, again, is subjective. It all depends on what kick you've got, and I've found one that's suitable for this track, which is more of a house kick rather than a disco kick. So I'm going to put that in right now. Okay, so make sure that you insert the kick drum that comes with this session tutorial and put them all in. One, like so, and once you've got 8 in, just highlight them all, right click and consolidate. That way it saves time when you're copying them over. Throw them all over on top of each one. Just make sure that they're all in time. Sounds okay. Sounds a bit out there. That one sounds out. So if you find it's kind of it's slipping a bit like that, double click right on there. Look, you see where that thick bit is, and close it in. There it's gone. And if you find that some of the smaller transients are out, just drag them into the line as well. Again, that's the problem there, look. So again, double click on that thick bit and close it in. And there you go. So we've got the kick in, and now you need to put in the... You can put any sort of beat on top. I mean, I'm just going to stick a standard hi-hat on. So just to help drag the track along. And we'll put that in right now. Okay, so get your hi-hat and place that in there. Like so, and just put it on every other line so that we get a pattern. You don't have to use straightforward kicks and hi-hats. It's always good to experiment as much as you can. But... a good thing to do is to use percussion loops, which is quite a common feature in re-edits. Just take the volume down slightly. We can do all the EQs and stuff another time. One good thing to do when you're doing hi-hats, obviously, is put a EQ8 on and take the bottom end out by using the cut-off on there. Bit of hi-hat, a bit of treble on top. And that's the basis of the track. So what we need to do now is think about the arrangement. Okay, so how we start this is entirely up to you, but usually you could use this loop here, double it over, there's a bit on the end there we don't want. And then what you could do, because it doesn't match up with the rest of the loops, you could let's just try see what it sounds like. See, it doesn't work. So what you do is you could take the end section, this section here, and what we'll do is we'll create an audio channel, and on that audio channel we're going to add a ping pong delay and take that to about 30% on each one, on your feedback and on your dry wet. And then what we'll do is we'll highlight that section that we're going to throw over and pull it down like that and cut it away from the original. But we've got a little bit on there, so we don't want that in there. Just get rid of that by doing that. Okay, so then what happens is, then we put a kick over by miss a gap here, so it goes like this. So it delays. You could have more delay on there if you wanted. It's entirely up to you. Stick another 10% on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in one of the loops and filter it. So I would suggest the first bit. So we'll take, let's just change the colour of that so we know what it is. I'm going to take this bit and I'm going to put it on top like so. But what we're going to do is we're going to loop that for the first section there. Like that. So we're cutting it in half. So half it, copy, copy, copy. Put your kick over. And then we'll get an auto filter on channel 1.